Reddit, what is the worst experience you've had while traveling? Went to NYC by bus. I'm from Texas. The Greyhound station in Atlanta was the biggest collection of assholes I've ever had to deal with. And I say that as someone who worked the night shift at Walmart for 12 years. Hiked the Inca Trail in Peru. On night 3 we are tented down on the side of a mountain with a monsoon going on. At around 4 a.m. I smell what seems like my friend let out a fart in the tent. And I asked him WTF. He tells me it wasn't a fart and that he shit himself. I was trapped in a tent with a pile of shit all over everything with a monsoon going on that wasn't going to break for hours. Having a massive diarrhea 20 minutes before the plane landed, that and the time I dislocated my right kneecap while on vacation with my family. Teenager driving from NJ to Florida in the summer. Old van with no back seats. Just steel floor. No problem, we thought well sit lay in the back on air mattresses. Air mattresses melted on the burning hot floor about 1 hour into the ride. Long 23 hours. I flew in January from Brazil 35C to Winnipeg, Canada minus 35C, and Air Canada left in Brazil all my luggage with everything I needed for the winter. No need to say I sued them and I won. Forced to give a bribe at Vietnam border control at Ho Chi Minh Airport. I had an e-visa and all documents, but the officer took one look and directed to a shady counter where the guy behind it just said money. When I said I have no cash, he just laughed and said you travel and no money. I had to run to find an ATM, get cash, and pay the bribe to get another visa while having a perfectly valid one in hand. I had to comply because otherwise I would miss my connecting flight, which requires me to get my luggage, sprint to the other terminal, check in again, and go through security. Luckily, I made it with just minutes to spare at the end. Had a hotel where the two temperatures of the shower were OFF and scalding HOT. Literally blisteringly hot. It was one of those contactless check-in hotels without a front desk, so there was no recourse. 05. On my honeymoon, we had a train stop between two countries where neither of us spoke either language. My now ex suddenly blanched, pulled all the bags up to me quite a heap, and said he would be right back. 20 min and nothing. I figured out how to tie them so I could carry all and found him at the ticket counter. Had ordered a ticket for the wrong day and was too ashamed to tell me. His inability to ever admit fault was the death of our marriage, 5 years later. Driver falling asleep, having to yell at him to avoid an accident. My family has bad luck with boats anytime we've gone on vacation. Like legit every damn time a boat is involved there's some sort of shitstorm. We took a family trip to Vietnam, and my mom booked us on a boat trip down the Mekong. It was a 10-hour boat trip on a glorified speedboat. Constant waves, smells, loud. The only food was these tiny bananas for the whole trip along with some soda and water. The boat broke about 6 or 7 hours into it and took another 4 hours for a new boat to come and take us the rest of the way. We got to the hotel at like 4 a.m. after leaving on this boat trip at like 9 a.m. the previous day. Other than that, was an awesome vacation I will always remember. Everyone should visit Vietnam one day. Stung in the face by a jellyfish. It wasn't a super poisonous fella, luckily, but it sure hurt like a sonophavich. Had a 4-hour flight at 6 a.m. and my dumbass thought it would be a good idea to have a big-ass meal the night before. Had stomach pains the entire flight and had diarrhea. In fact, it got so bad that I was that close to shitting in my pants as the plane was landing. The moment the plane landed, I had to beg the cabin crew staff to let me use the toilet. Thankfully she let me, because if she didn't I probably would have shit in my pants. Went to Egypt in 2006. I was 16. One guy in a market pulled me and was like an inch away from kissing me. Luckily our tour guide was a bigger man and almost knocked him out. Then in Cairo the traffic and driving is insane. And I live in Central America, so I'm used to it. But this was another level. Our taxi driver was driving looking everywhere, but the road I was terrified I'd still go back if I had the chance though. Arrived late in the evening to a major US airport, hoping to quickly get into my prepaid, reserved rental car that I paid extra for a quick pickup. I should probably mention that I had hungry and exhausted children. Anyways, the rental company well known had a line, seriously dozens and dozens of people thick. One employee. We waited 30 minutes, and 2 customers were processed in that time. By the time I left, there was honestly close to 100 people waiting. Still one employee. Called a taxi, paid insane fare, and I have never been more mad at a company in my life. Flying Boston to LA to Auckland to Perth for a wedding in December. See that it's going to snow on the day I'm supposed to leave. Ask boss to leave early to try and get an earlier flight. Lets me go. Manage to get an earlier flight. That gets diverted to PA because of weather. Get delayed and miss once a day connecting flight in LA by less than 40 minutes. Still beat my original flight by an hour. Next day make flight in LA. Land late in New Zealand after 14-hour flight and have to literally sprint across terminal to make plane they were holding for me. Immediately make 8-hour flight to Perth. Arrive in Perth, but because I'm a day late, family has already left for wedding destination. Run through airport but miss bus that would take me directly there. Get Uber to train station where I wait 4 hours for a train. Take train 3 hours out of town to terminal in the middle of nowhere. Get picked up by my parents for 1-hour car drive to our Airbnb. Arrive on literally the opposite side of the world with no idea where I am or what day it was. Did end up enjoying the wedding, left right when the cops were showing up. I got stuck in Las Vegas for 12 long days. Landed in Paris while there was a worldwide outage with Visa June 2018, relying on my credit card for payments. Wasn't aware of said problem, couldn't purchase a SIM card or anything else. Luckily I had enough cash for a bus to my friend's house where I was staying, but not knowing about this global issue made me think I had a credit problem which would badly suck during a vacation. Driving across the country, I hit a half-dead buck on the highway. It blew out my AC condenser and radiator. It took an hour to limp to a gas station. After trying to fix it for 4 hours, a stranger went home and returned with a random radiator free between gas station junk, altered parts off my Saturn, and 3 more hours I had it running again. Drove 1,800 miles in July with no AC and no radiator fan. I hated being young and broke. Lol. Being at the right station at the right time on the right platform, and going into the wrong train. Having to drive with 4 Italian people that don't speak English. Tell your teacher train comes. Mama MA 110 wouldn't recommend. I met a guy in train and he took me at his place, and after that he locked me there.